Texans officially in the playoffs. How do you feel about their chances at making a run? What are the scenarios? This is the most fun post-week outlook of the season. Plus, DeMeco Ryans, what exactly are you saying? Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localized, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways.
It's getting fun around here. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. Happy final week of the NFL season to you. Happy playoffs inevitable to you. Texans get a big dub against the Chargers, as we do every Monday here in the locker room during the season. We do the post-week outlook, and this is going to be a fun one because it is laying out all of the playoff scenarios. We also heard from DeMeco Ryans today. A little bit of news about the approach of the game, as well as just he can't help himself. But a funny explanation for one of the ongoing issues that this football team has that, to his credit and their credit, they've been able to overcome. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the video. Shout out to you for being here. Let's get right into it. Here was DeMeco Ryans talking about playing the players, resting the players, still a chance to win the division. The NFL actually does a really good job of scheduling to where all the teams that are impacted by each other are playing at the same time. Here's DeMeco Ryans talking about his approach.
We're playing a game right now as it sits. We still have an opportunity to win our division, and that's always the goal each and every year, to win your division. So we know we need help from the Titans to be able to do that. So we're going and we're playing our guys.
All right, there you go. They're going, they're playing their guys. Some of them may need rest. You got to wonder about Kamari Lassiter. You got to think maybe it's time for him to rest. The Colts will not be playing Phillip Rivers. They are going to go with Riley Leonard. So you will not get old man Rivers this Sunday at NRG. It's going to be Riley Leonard. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing if you watch Phillip Rivers play the other day, honestly. I don't know whether that makes it more difficult or less difficult. Look, Riley Leonard has his flaws, but if you watch Phillip Rivers last game, you got your own questions about him. So I don't know whether that's a break or not. So here are the scenarios right now for the Texans. The worst that they can get is, and I am making some assumptions here. So you can say, well, that's not really what the possibilities say. I am functioning under two assumptions when I lay out my scenarios. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to be wrong on these. There's two assumptions that can be made. So when you're looking at these scenarios, you can go ahead and dismiss these if you so choose. I will be dismissing it. You don't have to. My first assumption, tell me if you agree with me, the Bills are going to beat the Jets. It doesn't matter what they do, the Bills are going to beat the Jets. That's assumption number one. The Bills are going to beat the Jets. So that's how I'm functioning. I'm functioning under the assumption that the Bills are going to beat the Jets. Assumption number two, I am going to function as if the Broncos are going to beat the Chargers, who announced today they're going to sit out Justin Herbert, who has the broken hand and he's been roughed up. And they are now a 12-point underdog in Denver against the Broncos, who, if they win, they get the 1 seed. So we are functioning when we talk about this, fair or not, we are functioning under the assumption that the Bills beat the Jets and that the Chargers, who are basically throwing in the towel and icing up to face likely the Patriots or the Jags, the Chargers are going to lose to the Broncos in Denver, and Denver's going to get the 1 seed. So that's how we're functioning when we lay this out. So there might be some people that say, well, this could, no. That might be the case, but for the sake of this discussion, I am functioning as if the Bills beat the Jets and the Broncos beat the Chargers. So that makes it a little bit easier. That makes it a little bit easier to lay out the scenarios. So, with that said, the best in the dream scenario would be that the Texans win the division and they get the 3 seed. Now, what would have to happen for that to be the case? They would have to beat the Colts and the Titans would have to beat the Jags. Not ideal. Maybe it can happen. I would probably not bet on that either. Jags are playing pretty good, and they, despite the hiccup against the Colts, the Jags are playing good, and the Titans are the Titans. But if you want to talk about the 3 seed, that would be that scenario. The next thing that needs to happen or can happen is that if the Texans beat the Colts, the 5 seed is locked up no matter what. It doesn't matter what happens. They have the tiebreaker over Buffalo. So whether Buffalo wins or not, the Texans are in control of the 5 seed. Now, why is that relevant? If you've been listening to this show and you've been following along, I still have a healthy amount of fear of the Buffalo Bills, especially when it comes to going to Buffalo. I know they just lost yesterday. That's Philadelphia. That's a good football team. That's a hell of a defense. They're very battle tested. That's not an easy game to win. And the weather only gets worse 4 weeks from now, whenever the AFC Championship game would be. So you avoid the possibility of having to go to Buffalo. You don't avoid the possibility of playing Buffalo, but you avoid the possibility of having to go to Buffalo if you beat the Colts. That doesn't happen. So if you win, 5 seed. If the Jags win, you're still the 5 seed. If the Jags lose, you go up to the 3 seed. So those are the most realistic possibilities there. Now, if you lose to the Colts and the Bills win, then you go back to the 6 seed and you're going to Jacksonville. Most likely. Yes, you're going to Jacksonville. And eventually, if you keep winning, you would eventually have to go to Buffalo. So that's where you're at. So the Chargers versus Denver. Denver can clinch the 1 seed. The Chargers aren't trying to win. That should happen. The Bills, they're the current 6 seed. With the Chargers behind them not trying to win, then the Bills can wrap that up. And that's really where you're at. So that's the scenarios. Now, the weird thing and kind of a dilemma is we've watched the Baltimore Ravens this year, and for a large portion of the season, they haven't had Lamar Jackson. But somehow, some way, I'll be damned, the Baltimore Ravens have an opportunity to not only get into the playoffs, they have an opportunity to host a playoff game. And all they have to do is beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are not looking great right now. They just lost to the Browns. Aaron Rodgers looks clueless. Not only does he look old, he looks kind of clueless out there. His mind kind of seems to be losing his mind, which is normal when you get older, but not when you're in your 40s. Like if you're going to be in your 40s and you're going to play football, then your mind's got to be above and beyond. You got to have a mental advantage. Tom Brady had it. Even Phillip Rivers had it to be able to function the way he did, being old and fat and straight off of coaching a high school team. Aaron Rodgers is losing his mind and his body is deteriorating. That's not a good combination. And now they face the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson with the banged up back. If the Texans are the 5 seed and they hold on to that 5 seed by beating the Colts and Baltimore beats Pittsburgh, it's not the Ravens that the Texans have been used to, but against Lamar Jackson, the Texans are 0-3, including in the playoffs in DeMeco's first year. There's a possibility that the Texans start the playoffs off in Baltimore against the Ravens. Now, how does that make you feel? Because I've gotten mixed reviews. The reality is you're going to have a tough game in the playoffs. You can't lay out the perfect ideal path. Although if Pittsburgh does pull it off, then I would make a case that the Texans have the perfect ideal path. But chances are, more times than not, you're going to have to beat a good team in the playoffs. You're going to have to beat a good team. How does it make you feel if the Texans have to open up in Baltimore in the wild card round of the playoffs? it would make me a little bit nervous. I'll be honest. It would make me a little bit nervous. We talk about flipping the switch a lot here when it comes to the Texans getting in the playoffs and the offense and all that. You're talking about a guy who's won multiple MVPs. You're talking about a battle-tested team, and you're talking about a team that with that quarterback has kind of owned the Texans. And they're a lot more healthy than when you faced them and when you quite frankly dominated them early in the season. So how does that make you feel if the Texans have to start off the playoffs in Baltimore against the Ravens? I'll tell you this. Even if it kind of makes you a little bit nervous, I think most people would agree it's better than the possibility of having to go to Buffalo eventually and face them in a playoff game. And it might even be better than if you're the 3 seed and Buffalo's the 6 seed if you have to face Buffalo in the first round at NRG. Would you rather go to Baltimore against this Ravens team or host the Bills again? Do you think they just own the Bills and the third time is not a charm for the Bills and they just own them? I would personally rather postpone playing Buffalo. That's me. That's how I feel. But I do think if the Texans go to Baltimore and they face the Ravens, it might be a pick'em game. I mean, it might not be a pick'em. The Texans might be a small favorite, but depending on what they look like against the Steelers, and oh, by the way, Derrick Henry seems to kind of be figuring stuff out. That's a tough-ass game. That's a tough-ass game. It's the most likely game right now, though. It's the most likely scenario, which would be wild because that's one of the teams that you thought that originally you were chasing. Then it looked like they were kind of lost, and then Aaron Rodgers wets the bet against the Browns, and I'll be damned. Baltimore Ravens in the first round in Baltimore. Not great. Not great. Still creates some nerves. Texans defense, they've proven they can do it against anybody. I don't think you just completely dismiss it like I would if they had to go to Buffalo. But that's a tough matchup. Really tough matchup if you go to Baltimore. But that's the 5 seed possibility. Join SNL live at Spanky's this Friday. We're also going to be there next Friday as well, January the 9th. John McClain will be with us on the 9th. We'll be there on the 2nd. I got a special gift for Cody Stoots. We'll be hanging out. We'll be watching games. We'll be celebrating. Always fun when we go to Spanky's. Great grub, homemade, all that, and easily the best prices in town and the best happy hour in town. It's been getting more and more packed. We've been getting more and more people, different demos, different ages, from different areas, coming out there to Spanky. So we hope to see you there on this Friday, the 2nd. Join myself and Cody Stoots out there at Spanky's. It's going to be a fun time. Speaking of Cody Stoots, I was very, very, I guess I can use the word amused. I was amused by DeMeco Ryans answering of Cody's question about the end of the second half or the end of the first half this week, in which I think anybody with a functioning football brain didn't really know what the hell was going on. And I think that's been the case a few times with the Texans. I think there's been 2 times this year where at the end of the half, you've been like, okay, that's very, very well executed with the Texans when it comes to the end of the half. The Rams in week 1, start out at your own 23 with 53 seconds left, get a 52-yard field goal, boom, very well done. Buffalo, 25-yard line with 1:43 left. They had good tempo, a good aggressiveness, and they ended up getting the job done. And there's been a couple times where they've gotten some breaks where Seattle missed a field goal, Denver muffed a punt, Arizona turned it over on downs at the 48 with 36 seconds left. But there have been 3 real puzzling times when it comes to the Texans into first halves. And the first one was San Francisco, which is a game that they ended up winning. But against San Francisco, they got the ball at the 29-yard line with 25 seconds left. They were up 9 points, and they decided to pass twice, and they actually ended up throwing an interception. Now, the interception, the clock expired. The guy ended up fumbling, but I even said, what the hell was that? What were they doing? What were they thinking? Playing with fire like that. Didn't make sense at the time. And as time went on, it just became more and more apparent that they have a weird approach when it comes to the end of halves. You go to Indianapolis. We don't need to rehash this. You get the ball on your own 20-yard line with 151 left. And for whatever reason, you have a good play, and then you let 41 seconds go off the clock. You throw the ball to the sidelines, don't get out of bounds, and then you let 25 more seconds go off. Didn't make sense then. Weird non-aggressiveness there. Weird aggressiveness against San Francisco. And then this week, at the 1-yard line, after the interception, anyone with a functioning football brain is sitting there thinking, man, hopefully you can pick up a first down so you don't have to give the Rams the ball back. Because as soon as you ran it the first time, the Rams are calling timeout. Or not the Rams, I'm sorry, the Chargers. I just watched the Rams, so the LA Rams are on my mind. Hell of a game there, by the way. But you're watching it and you're saying, okay, are the Chargers are going to use timeout? They do. Then Woody Marks busts a 19-yard run, and anyone with a functioning football brain immediately says, okay, good. Now you can take it to the house. You have a 14-3 lead. All is good. And you're at the 22-yard line with 52 seconds left. And what do the Texans do? They decide to throw the ball. They throw a short pass, incomplete. Immediately, it's why the hell are they throwing the ball? Why are they throwing the ball? What is that about? And then, and this was also shortly after CJ Stroud had one interception. They throw the ball, they throw an interception, and immediately you're just like, what are they thinking? It makes no sense. What is going on with this function at the end of the first half? It's actually simple, and it's a little too simple, but it feels like DeMeco Ryans, if the Texans aren't going to get the ball in the third quarter, even if he's deep in his own territory, he's going to tell Nick Caley to be aggressive, which is why when San Francisco had the ball to start the third quarter, he was aggressive. And against the Chargers, he was strangely, bizarrely, awkwardly aggressive there. And against the Colts, the Texans got the ball at the third. So when he should have been aggressive, he wasn't. There's no method to it. But they've been able to overcome it. And that's great. And Cody Stoots asked about the end of that first half against the Chargers. And this is what the head coach had to say, which I think is, I'll let you decide. I'll let you use your own adjectives to describe it. Here's DeMeco Ryans talking about what went down.
Drive before the end of the first half, CJ ended up throwing the interception. You guys started on your own one, and then it felt like you got some yards with Woody on the ground. Then you decided to go to the air. What went into the decision to kind of go to the air there versus maybe keep it on the ground and maybe keep the Chargers away from getting the opportunity to have the ball?
Yeah, we're throwing the football there. I mean, that's our plan. We're going to execute our game. Like no matter what, we make a bad decision. I mean, I think you're asking the question because we threw the interception. If we don't throw the interception, then do we have the question? Like, no, we're running our offense. We had a bad play that happened. That happens. We had an opportunity to go down and try to get points at the end of the half. That's what we're going to try to do. So didn't go our way. That happens. That's football.
All right, this is this is one of those situations where I hope DeMeco's lying, or I hope he's just being defensive about a decision that was suspect to most people in the moment. That's what I hope, because the way that he just answered that question, we're doing that because we're going to throw the football and we're going to run our game plan. And we're going to try to get points. That doesn't make sense. And I think it's kind of funny that he's basically calling Cody a simp. And Cody is far from a simp. And I don't think he has a very good grasp that fans are smarter these days than probably he'll give him credit for. And so are media. DeMeco does he would rather just have the casual ass kiss question than something like that. If he's being serious there. And again, I hope that he's lying, because that explanation is David Culley like. We're throwing the ball, we're going to do our thing. The most important thing in football is the football. Like, it's silly. And under that functionality, then you go for it on 4th and 20, you make it, nobody wonders what happened. Anyone that was watching that game, as soon as the Texans picked up the first down, I don't know too many people that were sitting there saying, okay, now let's go get some points. It was, let's take it to the house. Against the Colts, I think there was some confusion as to why they weren't going fast. You're watching it in real time. And in the Colts game, it was J.J. Watt who didn't understand what was going on. And that kind of repeated what I think a lot of people that were watching it were thinking. And it was Kurt Warner in this game. So I hope that DeMeco's lying. He obviously, they have a problem when it comes to the end of halves. But it's really simplistic. If you're going to lump in the Indianapolis situation, 151 at the 25, 2 timeouts, and you pick up a large gain on a play, and what was going on there, then there's a problem. But the good thing is he can wipe the slate clean. But if he's really being serious and he actually thinks the way that he just said it, it might end up costing you a ball game. And quite frankly, it really makes a lot of sense why he has struggled so bad to find a consistent offense outside of year 1 of his tenure. Fortunately for him, he's a good enough defensive mind to where he can overcome stuff like that. And fortunately for him, they missed the field goal. But to act like that wasn't bizarre and most people didn't say, why the hell are they throwing? I think most of y'all probably were watching the game, and as soon as Woody Marks ran the ball out of the end zone, I would be willing to bet a lot of money that most of you were saying, why the hell are they throwing before the interception on the incompletion? I would bet good money on that. And I think it's incredibly disrespectful to act like Cody Stoots is some sort of guy that deals in hindsight and asks questions like that. But as I've said, DeMeco Ryans, he wants you to kiss his ass, which is fine. He deserves it. He's won double-digit games. But they have a clear problem to anyone with a functioning football mind. And the amount of people that have that is a lot larger than DeMeco Ryans gives them credit for. Whether it's fans, whether it's media, it's a lot larger than what DeMeco Ryans thinks that amount is inside his world that he lives in. But they got to figure that out. But I think the mystery, the solution to it is, and what the result is that DeMeco Ryans, his aggressiveness is decided by who has the ball, who gets the ball in the third quarter. And I also think he functions the way that he accuses others of functioning. You just look at the difference in how he talked about the Azeez Al-Shire hit on Trevor Lawrence and when CJ Stroud got hit. It's complete flip-flop. It's complete difference, which is cool. But we're asking the question because of the interception. No, we were asking the question on the pass before that when he went back to pass. I think most people were. So he can say whatever he wants to say. I think that was a little bit bizarre to answer that. That was anyone with an ounce of football brain could see that. And hopefully he overcomes it. I'm rooting for him to do it, but that's an insult to intelligence. And quite frankly, it looks kind of silly to have answered it like that. That's just not real. And I look, am I sitting here saying DeMeco Ryans doesn't know what he's doing? No, I actually think there's a chance he's lying, and I think there's a chance that maybe he's just defensive and doesn't want to get any criticism when stuff goes down, or he's projecting how he looks at things. But if you're going to take him on the surface of what he said, that's bad. That's bad, and you don't need to defend that. Like I don't know anyone that's going to say that it made sense to throw the ball there after getting out of your own end zone. I don't know anybody that would say that unless they just want to justify what DeMeco did. And I don't think that behind closed doors, DeMeco thinks that. So I think if there's a breakdown of what he said, which is hogwash silliness. There's an acknowledgement that he's really good at what he does so he can overcome stuff like that. And there's also perhaps a factor of DeMeco Ryans just saying it because he's lying or he's being defensive, which I don't fault coaches for lying. That's not like a big ethical thing if coaches lie at the podium. But yeah, I mean, to say that you're just questioning it because the interception is silly. Just like it's been a weird process at the end of halves for a while. I mean, there's a reason that I asked Nick Caley about it this week. Literally was my question to Nick Caley this week and third downs. Like, let's just go back. This was my question to Nick Caley. So you're just asking because of this. Let's just put the evidence out there. Cody's not a simp. This was literally my question to Nick Caley this week about third downs, which actually he did a good job being aggressive on in the end of the half.
What goes into aggressiveness on, like, say, third and long, couple third down plays paid off for you this week? What is that a collaborative thing, like whether it's at the end of a half or anything, or is that just like you can decide, or is that something you can?
All right, that was 2 days before Los Angeles. The end of half stuff was a question. So it's been a thing, coach. But to call it, insinuate that Cody's a simp, I think is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. But hopefully they can overcome it because it's a fucking disaster right now. And I hope it doesn't prevent me from covering an extra couple football games, an extra football game. And I hope it's something that they work on and behind the scenes they're figuring out. Because it's been a disaster. And that's not hindsight. You just saw the question 2 days before. Timothy on the chat. Let's go to the chat.
Swarm.
He says, bro, DeMeco can't be serious. Stevie Wonder can see that Caley doesn't know how to make second half adjustments. Yeah, I don't know how he feels about second half adjustments. I know Bobby Slowick said he didn't necessarily believe in them, which I heard was kind of cringeworthy to many. But yeah, I don't really I don't know what to make of the second half offense. I will say the script was good. The script was good. Thought they did a good job opening up. Does that count? Maybe. On the chat, Rich Boy J says, does DeMeco start his Super Bowl speech with y'all good? I don't know how he starts. I think he probably starts at thanking God. That's kind of how he does. I had 21 Savage right on cue. Rich Boy, all praise to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You guys good. I feel like he's almost getting questioned like they've won a Super Bowl. Does it not feel that way? Does that feel like kind of like, hey, when did you know that this was going to happen? It's like they got to where you expected him to get. It feels like he's almost getting questioned like as if he already won a Super Bowl. Freedom Fighter says, just be aggressive on offense and don't be conservative. I mean, when you have the ball at the 25-yard line with 29 seconds left, like you did against San Francisco, or in that situation, I don't know. I feel like it's a field that a lot of people can master. Again, it's a much larger sample size than DeMeco thinks. Patty says DeMeco hates the media. No, he doesn't hate the media. He hates anyone that questions him. And I don't know about hate. I don't think he's a hateful guy. I just think it's awkward for him. It's uncomfortable. I also think he overthinks the stuff, but no, I don't think he hates anything like that. Gilbert says Nick Caley needs more experience. I don't think he's been that bad the last couple games. I don't think he's been awesome. I don't think he's been that bad. I don't think CJ had a good game. I think he had a good start. I don't think he had an awful game, but I don't think he had a good game. MMA says DeMeco is crazy for saying that in a good and bad way. That just depends on why he said it. Rick says, I think it's possible that DeMeco was tired of hearing we people calling this team out for not being aggressive at the end of half and decided to try to go for the jugular, unfortunately failed. Look, it's not about just being aggressive. It's about knowing when to be aggressive. That's what the issue is. And maybe it's just easy to tell in the moment, but this isn't like some hindsight stuff. Like whenever he kicks the field goal on 4th and 2, I say, good job. I don't care whether he makes it or not. I say it's a good job. Cody deals the same way. Cody's not a hindsight guy, but he lumps DeMeco lumps anyone who questions him is lumped into one group. That's what happens. Cody Stoots? Like he's some simp? But I don't know that he's, if you're considering all elements of aggressiveness the same, then that kind of adds, and that's kind of another sign of the problem to me. And I'm not saying this because I want DeMeco Ryans to like fail. I don't want to call out DeMeco Ryans. I want him to win. But it is what it is. And the Texans are to the point right now where you want them to get to a certain point. They've never been to that point. They clearly, I don't want to say the clock's ticking, but this is an opportunity right now where the playoffs are wide open. You're playing really good ball, and your margin for error because of your offense is really small. So having a balance of when to and and when not to be aggressive is important. And this is elementary stuff. This isn't hindsight, well, they threw an interception stuff. It's really not. I feel very comfortable saying that. Like I've never been someone that says, like, if you follow me, I have a lot of opinions. I'm always going to give you my opinion. If my opinion's wrong, I don't care. I'm going to lay out what the opinion is, but I'm not going to sit here and say, well, this guy should have caught, like, it's very rare that I'll say, well, he should have ran fast, or he should have cut this, or he should play through this, or all that. There's a certain level of respect to that. I don't act like I could like implement some sort of offense like Nick Caley or anything like that. I respect how difficult that is. And I'm sure there's a higher level of intensity. But for Christ's sakes, when you get the ball inside the 30-yard line with 30 seconds left in a 16-7 game and you're throwing the ball, it doesn't make a ton of sense. The Indianapolis thing didn't make a ton of sense. This was the worst of all. It was the worst of all. And it's not being asked just because it was literally asked to Nick Caley 2 days before by me, and calling Cody Stoots a simp is disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Why am I defending Cody? Why am I defending Cody? You know what? I need to cleanse my system. Why am I defending Cody? Shout out to my SNL partner, Cody Stoots. You can see us at Spanky's this week. You know what? I got to cleanse my system.
Haven't always had sex.
Look at this. Look at Cody getting horny about running backs. This was him on KHOU with Jason Bristol. Listen to how he described the run game.
The Texans haven't always had success running the.
Haven't always had what?
The Texans haven't always had success running the. The Texans haven't always had success running.
Sex, huh? Okay. I just had to cleanse my system from defending Cody too much on that. I just find it weird when DeMeco calls my boy a simp. It's a little crazy. SNL Monday through Friday, 4:00, right here on YouTube. If you missed the Texans Collective, be sure to subscribe to that channel as well. Subscribe, like, right along. Also, little sleeper action. My dad killed it the other day. I'm going to start making my dad make the picks because my dad sent me a 5 spot just randomly, and it all hit. It all hit in like the third quarter. My dad absolutely dominated and absolutely killed it. He had Let me pull this up real quick. So he sent me this just randomly out of the blue right there. He had the Caleb Williams over 16 and a half yards rushing, Christian McCaffrey touchdown, Brock Purdy 12 and a half yards rushing, and then Brock Purdy and Caleb with 1.5 touchdowns each, and he hit. So from now on, we are going to tail my dad's picks. And you should as well. If you haven't done Sleeper, let's do it for the playoffs. It'll be fun. You will get a 100% match up to $100. Put $5 in, get 10. You can play dollar games, DFS, very simple. CJ Stroud, higher or lower touchdown passes, yards, all that. They have everything going on. It's fantastic. My dad loves it. You'll love it as well. Download the Sleeper app. Do it. Also use it as your scoring app. You will not regret it. I promise you. It's not too late to get in the game. The promo is still going. Shout out to the greatness that is Sleeper. Promise you, you will not regret that. So go ahead and get in that game. DeMeco Ryans crazy, though. He's crazy. He's a good coach, but he's crazy. I just hope he's lying. Rich Boy J on Z-Chat.
Swarm.
He says, what would your reaction have been after the Broncos game if someone told you we weren't losing another game during the regular season? With Mills coming in too? I would have thought that was crazy, to be honest with you. I thought that was crazy. But that's where we are. We said from the jump when they started out 0-3 that they needed to get to 5-5 and then they needed to climb. But 8-game win streak did not envision that. But the one thing we did say, Rich Boy, and I know you know this because you hold me accountable and you're in here a lot, is we said what the superpower was from the jump. We said what the superpower was from the jump, and the superpower has been even better than expected, the defense. So it's kind of played out the way we thought it would. I think most people probably had the Texans in the 10 to 12 win range, I would say. There's maybe some homers, some optimists that had them at 13. But I think most of us had them in the 10-12 range. The way in which it looked, the path in which they took, no. I don't know that would have been laid out. I think there was a little bit of scheduling luck. It's good that they played the Colts when they played the Colts. It's unfortunate, though, that they started out against the teams that they did, but they're where they need to be. But no, as far as the path and as far as how they look, no, I would have taken that bet. Corey says, going back to the DeMeco thing, exactly these questions he's getting are like they've won playoff games. Let's see what happens in a couple weeks. Yeah, you notice that too, Corey? It's not just me being a little bit too close to the situation and in the mix. You notice that too? When did you know that this team was going to be able to figure something out? How did you overcome the 0-3 start? You realize this, and this is kind of the does this fall under ironic? Because if you listen to the song Ironic, and myself and John Lopez used to do this bit a lot during my Sports Radio 610 days. Like, nothing that Alanis Morissette says in Ironic is really ironic. It's unfortunate, but it's not really ironic. But I've seen this graphic, and this graphic's been going around a lot, and I'm sure most of you have seen it. And it was actually mentioned when they were 0-3. But I think we all knew that what Bill O'Brien was doing was not enough. Like, it wasn't enough. They were kind of on a mediocre treadmill. And now it's like, well, the Texans are the first team since the 2018 Texans to start the season 0-3 and get into the playoffs. And it's like, yikes. So they did something that Bill O'Brien did. Like, I've seen some stats where DeMeco Ryans has done stuff that I think they talked about Nick Sirianni and McDermott, like with starts or active coaches. That's cool. That's good company. The first one to do whatever, that's cool. That's good company. But DeMeco Ryans and the Texans did something that Bill O'Brien's team did. The team that got their ass whooped in the first round of the playoffs. That one kind of like, that seems a little bit ironic, doesn't it? It doesn't seem like something that I would want to see or want to strive to do. But he has a chance, and they're where they need to be, and they're set up nicely. So credit to him, but like the questions about when did you know and how does it feel and all this, he doesn't feel anything, man. I know DeMeco's not a hardo and he wants to somewhat embrace. It doesn't feel anything. We've been here before. We know what this is like. We're trying to take that next step. Maybe I'm being a coaching hardo. Truth with says, why are people so damn scared to criticize CJ? See, I don't know about that. I see a lot of CJ criticism. I see a lot of CJ criticism. So I don't know about that. I think that there has been a lot of CJ criticism. I also think that there are a lot of defenders, and I think the thing that makes the defenders stick out more is it's like the goalpost constantly moves. The goalpost constantly moves when talking about CJ. I think CJ at this point in his career, and obviously sports are fluid. There's Josh Allen. There's Lamar Jackson, X Factor. Aaron Rodgers is down there. And then when it comes to the playoff picture, you lump in CJ Stroud with Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May's better right now, if we're being honest, right now. Then Justin Herbert. You lump those guys in. He's in that mix. I think if you ask people to list it, there'd be different lists, but he's in that mix. But there does always seem to be, well, it's the offensive coordinator's fault. Where it's the offensive line spot. Well, why was he good with a bad offensive line in year one and the same offensive coordinator that started before? Don't know. Well, he's going to have more control at the line of scrimmage. Well, he's being asked to do too much at the line of scrimmage. It's okay to criticize and hold to a standard. But I definitely do think there is a large portion that is willing to criticize CJ Stroud. I think it's just kind of a give or take. But I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I think that it is kind of interesting and it kind of outweighs the proportion of people willing to criticize CJ and people not willing to criticize CJ when there's a portion of people that just are going to defend him no matter what happens, no matter how bad he plays. I think that's probably where the confusion is. But I do see some criticism. Rich Boy back on the chat.
Swarm.
I'm fighting through this cold. I got through it a little bit. I'm on the other side. Thousands of miles and 70 people around will do that to you. And a 4 a.m. drive to get in. But it happens. I think I could have been a truck driver in my second life. Rich Boy says, what's more surprising? Let's go 11-5 after the 0-3 start, or the Colts starting 8-8 after a 7-1 start. I would say probably the Texans going 11-5. My reasoning is their quarterback did break his fibula. You know? So I think the Colts meltdown is kind of easy to explain. The quarterback broke his fibula, and they had him play with it for a couple of weeks. But the Texans is, I mean, it's only happened twice. Shout out to King Bill O'Brien. But yeah, I would say that would be the biggest surprise. Pleasant surprises for the Texans coming up shortly in a second. First, though, I want to tell you about my guy, Dan. God, he's the man. Dan the man. Texans turf. I'm telling you, if you have a new home, there's nothing better than turf. Neighbors are going to be jealous. home value is going to go up. You're going to feel better. You're not going to spend the weekend out there doing lawn work. There's not going to be insects. There's not going to be mud. Look, if you want to have just traditional grass and do your thing, go ahead. But I strongly recommend turf. The problem with it, though, is a lot of these companies, they're slime balls. They try to rip you off. They half-ass it. They just slop some carpet on there, and they don't do that. This turf drains. Like it's not like it floats on the carpet. It drains. They got pebbles underneath it. They're gonna put the stuff on the fence to control floods, all that, and it's dry after a big storm in Houston. It's lovely, and Dan is the best. He is the man. And I can 100% promise you that. It's a stressful process shopping. I shopped around. I discovered Dan. I was getting turf no matter what. And then I just happened to say, you know what? I see how crappy these other guys are. I really, really think that you should let me pitch how great you are at the radio station. And now he's followed me on the digital side. If you don't believe me, just go look at all the reviews. Go to Texans Turf, check it out. Putting greens, play areas, whatever you want. Shout out to Dan, the man. Texans Turf is number one. Truth with a follow-up on the CJ stuff. She says, correct. They come up with all the damn excuses. Yeah. So you want to ride and die with your quarterback. I get it. You want to ride and die with your quarterback. I get it. It's all good. He's not the worst. He's not the best. He's good. But there are questions, and it's a roller coaster ride. But it's not just unique to him. Every quarterback, even Josh Allen, has some highs and lows. He missed a wide open guy yesterday, or else they would be in control of the 5 seed. I mean, he missed Shakir on that play. So yeah, that's just kind of where it is. But that's where we're at, and sometimes it's gang with the QB. So a couple things that I want to talk about from the game on Sunday that I think could be relevant down the stretch and very beneficial for the Texans. Number one was something that kind of emerged a few weeks ago, and the test has been passed, to say the very least. And it's a guy that myself and Cody Stoots talked to. Jawar Jordan and Woody Marks is as good of a running back combination as we could have expected. Quite frankly, if the Texans go get them a true RB1 next year and they bring back Woody Marks and Jawar Jordan, you could really be onto something. But they lucked into this, and that's great. Sometimes it's awesome to be lucky. And if Nick Chubb doesn't get hurt, do we ever see Jawar Jordan against Arizona? Probably not. Probably not. Do they beat Arizona without Jawar Jordan? Maybe, probably. But I don't know. Jawar Jordan's been good. Woody Marks yesterday, awesome. 2 days ago, awesome. Strong running when you needed it most. Ran it out of the end zone so DeMeco could throw the interception instead of taking it to the house, but that's just football. You wouldn't be asking that if they didn't throw the interception. Stoots, you're a simp. And Woody Marks did his thing, and Jawar Jordan did his. So I feel like you found running backs. It'll be interesting to see how Nick Caley handles that down the stretch, but you got it. Nick Chubb, 1 carry. It's appropriate. Appropriate. When we told you that Nick Chubb had the least amount of juice in camp, we weren't lying to you. We weren't lying to you. Let's go back and look at Nick Chubb's longest run of the season. Max Crosby trotted him down. Max Crosby needs knee surgery. And he walked down Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb used to be one of the most explosive backs in the league. He's old. Father Time's caught up. They know that now. They just needed a little luck. But it's a nice element for the Texans to have. Jawar Jordan. Woody Marks. I still think you can improve the running back room next year, but this is as good as you could have expected. So that's a positive right there. Let's focus on the positives. There's that. Next one And I said this story earlier on the Collective. A lot of you don't listen to the Collective. You should. Every Monday at 6. A lot of you don't know. Collective at 6. Type in Texans Collective. Myself, Sean Pittergast, Reginald Atatula, and Cody. We talk Texans every Monday. I told this story, so forgive me if you've already heard this story, but I just want to make this comparison because I think a lot of you people, and I do mean you people, can kind of relate to this. So two years ago against the Titans, when the Texans beat the Titans, and CJ Stroud was out, I think Will was out too. You watch the game, and all of a sudden, this guy, number 95, appeared, and it was like, who the F is that? Who is that guy? That guy's making plays. They need this game. Case Keenum's leading them. The defense, they're out there. Who the hell is number 95? It ended up being Derek Barnett. And ever since then, Derek Barnett's kind of been a key part of this rotation. 2 sacks on Saturday. But you wondered what in the hell was going on here and where this guy came from. It's kind of what happened on Saturday with Kayvon Wallace, number 38. Who the hell is number 38? Miles Bryant, little undersized at safety, coming off his worst game against the Raiders. You knew something had to be done. You couldn't keep doing that. Yeah, you could tell they were on borrowed time when it comes to starting Miles Bryant at safety, and that is nothing against Miles Bryant. Miles Bryant is a good football player, but he has his limitations, and he makes up for those limitations by doing everything right that he can control and knowing how to do as many things as possible. That's why Miles Bryant is on your football team, because he can play corner, inside, safety in an extreme emergency where you lose 4 guys in front of him, 3 or 4 guys in front of him. But eventually you're on borrowed time if you're asking him to do that. And that was very apparent with the Raiders. Now, the difference in DeMeco Ryans and a problem on defense versus a problem on offense is that when there's a clear problem on defense, it gets solved relatively quickly. You notice that? You notice that? The D-line depth doesn't look good. And then the very next week, it looks awesome. The safety, it's obviously not working. And all of a sudden, some random guy off the streets comes in and it looks awesome. It gets fixed on defense. It doesn't happen on offense, though. On offense, you get stuff like, we're trying to throw the football. And that's the plan. And that's football. And we're trying to pass. And if you didn't throw an interception, like DeMeco on defense, it's incredible. This is what you get when you talk offense with DeMeco.
Drive before the end of the first half, CJ ended up throwing the interception. You guys started on your own 1, and then it felt like you got some yards with Woody on the ground. Then you decided to go to the air. What went into the decision to kind of go to the air there versus maybe keep it on the ground and maybe keep the Chargers away from getting the opportunity to have the ball?
Yeah, we're throwing the football there. I mean, that's our plan. We're going to execute our game. Like no matter what, we make a bad decision. I mean, I think you're asking the question because we threw the interception. If we don't throw,
yeah, we're throwing the football. We're going to execute our game. You're asking that's what you get on offense with DeMeco, man. That's the dangers of a defensive minded coach. Like it's checking a lot of boxes. You can overcome it. You can progress, but that's the difference. When the Houston Texans have a performance like Miles Bryant last week, who the hell is number 38? All of a sudden you have a new safety. He's coached to do the right things. He's doing the right things. He's a presence. He's jumping off the TV screen. There's probably at least 4 people last week who bought a customized Kayvon Wallace jersey. Not a jersey, a jersey. With that performance. D-line, man. Davidson doesn't look good. That's soft. DeMeco can handle the defense. Offense, you get, that's our game. That's what we, that's what we do. Why are you asking this question? You're only asking this question because, come on, man. That's the life we're living. That's the life we're living. Could be worse. Damn good defensive coach. But props to that number 38. I know who the fuck 38 is now. I know who the hell that guy is now.
Swarm.
Mustard asks, do you think Tank Dell or Joe Mixon come back for the playoffs? No. That's never been a possibility at all. That's never even, I mean, we've said no for a while. No. Evan says, to be honest, I don't care if we play Baltimore. We whoop them again. You got to beat someone, right? Lamar's got to hurt back. Beggars can't be choosers. You're still going to be rooting for the Steelers, though, brother. Be honest with me, Evan. I know you'll always be honest with me, Evan. You don't care if you play Baltimore, but you're going to be waving that terrible. You might not wave a terrible towel, but you're going to be fist pumping every time Pittsburgh does something good. Let's be serious. You'd rather play Pittsburgh than Baltimore. You at least have a little bit of fear for Baltimore, regardless of what they got. You might not be rocking the pajama pants like Pittsburgh Steelers fans. They wear pajama pants to church. But you're going to be rooting for Pittsburgh. Not scared of anyone in the AFC either, especially if you don't have to go to Buffalo. I don't think you should be scared of anyone. I think the Texans should be scared of anyone at all. Dominic says, DeMeco knows how to find defensive talent. Remember how they found Devin White off waivers? Devin White sucked, though. Devin White wasn't that good. He was a good little replacement for a while, but Devin White, he's actually, like, he's getting a lot of tackles, but he's actually, like, statistically one of the worst players. But, yeah, they found Devin White. They found Barnett. They found Tommy Togiai. They can find guys on the street on defense, and they solve those problems quick. Quick. You don't even need to ask them. It's quick. DeMeco can figure that out quick. Offense, yeah, we throw footballs. Why are you asking me the question? Spanky's this Friday. Bel Air. Sharpstown location. See you there. Cody Stoots. I think he said that the pizza is like sex. Just like the run game. Evan says, of course, I'm definitely rooting for Aaron Rodgers. Boy, he's rough right now. He's rough. Yeah, I think Aaron said that Tank and...
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron
He said the Tank and Mixon, but we've already known that. Aaron's been up and down on the Mixon thing. It hadn't been his best display. He's been on some stuff, but the Mixon stuff's been tough for him. Been a tough go. Been a tough go for him with the mix. Baltimore, if you play Baltimore, it means you're the 5 seed. That's really the most important thing. It means you're the 5 seed. There's a chance you host an AFC championship game if you're in the 5 seed. So at this point, you just got to take that. 5 or 3. 5 or 3. Anything else is not great. Not ideal. But you want 5 or 3. So just win. 5 is the worst. 3 is the best case scenario. And you'll be scoreboard watching them Titans, Old Oilers, and the Jags. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to use Sleeper and use my promo code Locker. It would mean a lot to me. Be a good Christmas gift for me. The more, the merrier. Sleeper, download the app. Use the promo code Locker. Get 100% back. Very much appreciated. For sure. I'll answer one last question before I get out of here because it was prefaced as serious question. I thought all questions in here were serious. Are you only asking the question because we threw an interception? Since you prefaced it with serious question, I'll answer one more question. Blue Boy. It's always dangerous, though, when you answer Blue Boy's questions. He said, should we be resting starters or fight for the division? I kind of want us to go on the road. You go on the road. You can go on the road if you win. Like, even if you win, you go on the road if the Jags win. So, yes, you just got to win to stay in the 5 seed. That'd be your worst case scenario. So there we go. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to listen to SNL. Be sure to listen to the Texans Collective. Be sure to get ready for New Year's Eve. Do kids still act an ass on New Year's Eve? I feel like I'm getting old. Are the bars still popping? Are people still paying $30 to go in bars that would normally not be crowded and you could go in for free? I don't know. That's a mystery to me. Always remember, when it comes to this Texans stuff, we're all in it together. Texans off mañana. Back at practice on Wednesday. I'll be on the scene. Happy New Year to all. Here's to the playoffs. Here's to football. And here is to a very exciting time for the Texans, no matter what. Let's go.
Takeaways, if it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localized, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.